well, but everyone you deal with, everyone who is around you will benefit from those characteristics. So thank you so much. You will change the future. You will make it a better place.
Thanks so much, Catherine. And before I bring in Tommy Vitolo, I just wanted to bring up that my partner in crime for everything from our whole, we live our lives together, Karen Chase, who is my wife and who produced an incredible video. I don't know how she did it. I had no idea it was going on. It was pre-COVID, but Karen produced a retrospective video of the last 10 years, and everyone who was part of that video, thank you. Karen, if you could just unmute yourself and give a quick shout out. I just, before I bring on Tommy, I have to bring on Karen to say hello.
Those are big shoes to fill. Hi, everybody. I applaud all of you. This is, for me, it's been 10 years in the making. And so to think that we've come together tonight, and the fact that I'm social distance from my own husband in the other room, this just is endemic of what's going on. But it was the great honor of my life to be able to put together that retrospective video, because what everybody had to say actually really underscores what I've known about Harvey long before we were married. And he's just a really special guy. And so I'm just blessed and honored. And so congratulations to all of you tonight, and for our past winners, and for the future next year when we're all together at the Coolidge.
Thanks, Karen. Karen's in the power seat in our house. She's controlling the remote. And Tommy Vitolo, our state rep, Brookline state rep. Tommy, I just want to bring you on and for some advice to community members watching us. I know that you have a show that you're doing regular reports and updating the community from Brookline Interactive Group studios or virtual studios. And Tommy, I wanted to talk about just your thoughts on where we are right now. We've been struck with this pandemic. We've got demonstrations going on all over the country, and people fighting for change. But we're also dealing with potential Brookline town employees, teacher layoffs, and it's so much to follow every day. Maybe if you could give us sort of like a where are we right now, and what should Brookline residents be thinking about, and what should they be doing right now?
Sure. Thank you, Harvey. I want to start by saying, I missed that we're not in the Coolidge. There are some advantages. Last year I was wearing a tuxedo. This year I just might be in shorts. So yeah, look, times are tough, and you laid out the sort of the very explicit things, but I want to take it up a level, right? We feel as adults like we have a loss of control. Things are chaotic, they're stressful. It's a lot like being a teenager. And so I want us to listen carefully to the stories of these teenagers and remember that the way we feel as adults right now is a lot of what it's like to be a teenager all the time, to not have as strong a say about the details of your life, but still be expected to overcome everybody else's drama, everybody else's challenges imposed on you, and keep your head above water. And these teenagers did a lot more than that. These teenagers are remarkable. So listen to their stories and be inspired. And then think about how, over the next week, we just had town elections. Next week is town meeting. We as adults have got to figure out quickly, what are our values? What are we willing to say? I'm going to do more. I'm going to use more of my power, my wealth, my ability to make that change. Is that around Black Lives Matter? I hope so. Is that about saving our teachers, every single educator? I hope so. And we all have a role to play. Those who are elected officials, we've got to get out there and make the tough calls. And those who are not, you need to call us on the phone and give us a tough call to remind us what's important to you so that we have the courage and the insight to know what we ought to be fighting for. And so that's my ask. I've just got a 4-year-old joining me, a 5-year-old, and we're going to fight for her, and we're going to fight for every teenager, and we're going to fight for every single person who's not getting as much out of this world as they deserve. And that's a job that we've all got to do. So let's start by getting inspired by these incredible teenagers tonight, and let's roll up our sleeves as adults tomorrow and get to work.
Thanks so much, Tommy. I really appreciate you being on this evening. And I want to bring on 2 people who I really respect a lot. BrooklineHub.com is a 501c3 nonprofit. We do profiles on important people in Brookline, and but Abby Patkin of Wicked Local Brookline and Jenna Fisher of Brookline Patch, I read their stories every day, and it's so, they're giving us the real news, and I appreciate their efforts. And Jenna and Abby, you're up here on my screen somewhere, but what if you guys could just talk about what it's been like for you, just reporting on this surreal world that we all live in. You must feel like sometimes that just wondering if what you're typing is really happening.
Well, Harvey, first off, thank you so much for having us on here, and congratulations to you with the show. I was going to answer in a word, busy, but then as I was, to answer your question about what it's been like, but as I was thinking about it, and as I've been listening to folks here, there are also a ton of other words that come to mind. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air, but there's also a lot of adaptation and resilience, as we've been hearing. So for the past 4 months, the coronavirus and its specter have pretty much informed almost everything that I've reported on. And I'm sure Abby can agree there. It's infused everything in town, from how we talk about the school budget, layoffs, and so forth, and to what the future of school will look like. It has changed how businesses interact with their customers. It's added a whole new level of uncertainty for businesses. It changes the way we even do protests, and it changes the way that we cover protests. And one thing that stands out to me, while it might be easy to focus on what's scary about all this, as you were talking to me earlier, you were saying it kind of looks like the Twilight Zone out there. And it does look very different. But one thing that stands out to me as I'm reporting is that there's a whole lot of goodness out there amid all of this. And there are so many people doing great things to help each other to get through this time that is stressful, that is uncertain. And there are just a lot of heroes living among us, as you are pointing out here with this show. And it's really important to keep that in mind and keep that in perspective. So I'm really glad that you're hosting this for the 10th year in a row.
Yeah, I also want to say, thank you so much for having us on, and congratulations. Organizing something of this scale is no easy feat. These past few months have really been, whirlwind. Just the pace at which everything has changed. It's been so rapid. News changing hour to hour, day to day. Especially in the first few weeks of the shutdown. I was just refreshing my email constantly, checking social media, checking my phone. What am I missing? What's going on? What's new? And there were also, people were asking so many questions and, at a rate faster than we had answered. So it made things challenging, but also really interesting coming from a news perspective. And like Jenna said, we've seen so many, adaptations and some really positive stories out of that. Socially distant birthday parties and, parades for, small children celebrating birthdays or couples celebrating anniversaries. Just the small sort of moments of light in these weird and crazy times. And I mean, even outside of the pandemic, we've seen just a lot of things coming at us at once, which again makes things really interesting and get crazy from a news perspective. All the protests, everything going on with the schools. It's just, you get the sense that you're in this moment in history and you're watching the history happen and writing it and covering it. So definitely interesting times.
Thanks so much, Abby, and thank you both for your reporting. And we have Tech Big on the screen right now. That's what I'm looking at. I don't know what they're looking at on the live stream, but I want to bring on three people who are, hopefully you know them: Paul Epstein, Amy Bear. Hopefully I'm spelling, you're saying your names right. Darby Neffveer. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've been calling each other by our first names and writing each other, and I haven't actually gotten to say your last names out loud. But Paul Epstein is a Brookline social worker and Brookline High School social worker and founder of the Brookline Teen Center. And Amy Bear is the ACE coordinator, and Darby Neffveer is she's a coordinator of Brookline High School guidance counselors. And when I was a teenager, I was a low-income person, and things weren't easy most of the time. And I needed someone like Paul and an Amy and a Darby. And I also want to bring in Catherine Leslie, Brookline High School teacher. I really needed some extra care from my teachers and my counselors. And I am not going to say how old I am, but I really owe them for, everything now. And so they're the people that all I do is highlight every year, one night a year, what the students do and what the teachers do. But the teachers are there and the counselors are there for these young people every day. And so we also are here to highlight what they do. So Darby, Paul, Amy, Kate Leslie, your thoughts on what's going on at the high school? What are your fears? What are your concerns about what our young people are going through in these just surreal times?
I can start. I'm Darby Neffveer, and Harvey, you got my name right. Thank you.
All right.
And I just want to just again let you know how grateful I am to be considered part of this wonderful event. And I represent the school counselors at Brookline High and the social workers. And I think I'll keep it short, but just to say that it's been hard work. We are all looking at screens 5 to 6 to 7 hours a day, which is not, I'll speak as a counselor. I'm sure Kate can speak as a teacher, but that is not how we operate. We like the in-person, we like the connection, we like being able to really be with our students. So we miss the students incredibly. We miss our colleagues incredibly. And I think the combination of dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the challenges of the district around how they're managing the budget, and then the additional challenges of how we see ourselves individually as active anti-racists, and how we support our students in these endeavors around all the different work that continues to need to be done is critical to everything that we do in our offices, in our Zoom meetings. And we look forward to eventually seeing all of our students back in the zone again. We worry about, I think I'll just leave with a lot of fears and concerns around the mental health of our students, many of whom were struggling before the school buildings closed, and then some who started really struggling post quarantine. The anxiety that's been escalated for all of us, and we need to be taking care of each other. So I'll just end with grateful to be here, grateful to be part of the Brookline High School team and Brookline community. And let's just keep showing each other a little kindness, because that can go a long way. So I'll end with that note.
Thank you. I'll go to you next, Kate. Leslie, if you could mute yourself for just a second. Well, we have Paul Epstein. So I'm a little unsure how this works. I'm looking at Paul right now, so we'll go to you, Paul. Paul, we're friends. Anyone who's seen Karen's retrospective video knows that we spend our happiest times kayaking and watching games on my couch together and things like that. And this Brookline Strong event is so important Sunday, but I know and you have firsthand experience that for a lot of young people in Brookline, they got to be strong every single day. And they had to be strong before COVID-19, and just some of your thoughts about where we are right now.
Hey, Harvey, good to see you. Hi, Kate, Amy, Darby, a lot of other familiar faces on the Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I had to join this call because it's the only way I get to see my students, some of them, and the young people of Brookline. As Darby said, we miss them tremendously. And there's only a few days left in this school year, and as we head into a bit of an uncertain summer, maybe a long, boring summer, we can't wait to see them again. We don't know when exactly that will be, but we certainly hope it will be as soon as possible. And the Youth Awards is one of my favorite nights every year. And I like many other people have said, I really miss being in the big theater in the Coolidge. But this has been a ton of work, Karen and Harvey, to put this together virtually. And I really want to give you kudos for doing that. Looking forward to see all the award winners tonight.
Thank you. Catherine, Leslie, you're Kate to me. Are you there? If you can unmute yourself and come front and center.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harvey. This is such a wonderful event. I think it's really fitting that this is actually happening this week, because I think, the last couple months have been so hard for students and for teachers. And yet this week, at least at the high school, is sort of like the final push. And there's so many students who have been working so hard to kind of get across the final finish line to end this year academically. And so it's beautiful to be celebrating here the achievements of all these young people that really highlight resilience and hard work and pushing through obstacles, because I feel like that's the moment we're in right now. So I think it's pretty perfect timing that we're all sitting here today, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the show.
Thank you so much. And Amy, I see you're here. Unmic yourself and let the people of Brookline see you.
Hi, Harvey. I'm definitely here, really honored to be here, and so wonderful to see some of my colleagues and community members, and most of all, our students from prior years and currently. It's just this night has always been also really important to me. I learned so much about some of the students at the school who I don't know. And then, of course, some of our students in ACE have received awards. And it's always so exciting to learn about their accomplishments and amazing things that they do. I want to just say that, I agree with everything Paul, Kate, and Darby have talked about in terms of the challenges of the last few months. And I think we're in a really important time as we think about how we move forward to remember to listen to our young people and get their input and their ideas about how we move forward. I know at the school, we're in the midst of trying to think about the possibility of more virtual learning and what that will look like. And we're at such a critical juncture right now with everything going on in our world. And I just really think we need to stop and make sure we're listening to the creative thinking of our young people.
Thank you so much, Amy. I want to give, before we go on to our next block of guests, I want to give a real shout out for someone who's here, Talia White, she's like me, so Talia is the editor of BrooklineHub.com. And so she does a fantastic job, and you see her up there. And Talia, thank you. I just want to thank you in front of everyone. You're incredible, and she's been a real stabilizing force for the Hub since she came on board, which I think is January of 2016 or 2015. 16.
Yeah.
2016. Right. So that's Talia White. She's incredible. And we're going to bring on some students that have received youth awards this year. When I say received, the plaques have been made by Aero Sports. We just haven't given them to them yet. We're trying to figure out how right now, but they're sitting in Aero Sports. We paid the bill and everything. I want to thank all of our sponsors. If you go to BrooklineHub.com and there's a widget there for sponsors, please hit that widget and watch those names. Some of them are nonprofits like Brookline Interactive Group and the Coolidge Corner Theater and the Brookline Teen Center that just help us in any way that we need a help. The Big lets us use the studio. We bring our home crew in every year to use Big Studio so that we can be close to the students and they can come in their free blocks. And except for this year, obviously, in the Coolidge. But want to thank, but when you see those names, they're not just names to me. These are people from one email have said yes, and they're not doing it for any other reason than they want to be there for the students. And many of these businesses that you see, these for-profit businesses, in fact, many of them, all of them, kept their financial commitment to Brookline Hub, even though the pandemic hit. And the reason we could put this whole thing on was that they made good on their financial pledges during a time that it was really, really hard to do so. And they put our students first. So these aren't just sponsors. They're not just businesses to me. They're real people running real businesses in uncertain times. And the same goes through for the nonprofits. So when we're going to talk to the Youth Award winners, first I want to bring on Bobby Nabel. Bobby is, I want to bring her on because she's an example of one of our adult recipients. She's the recipient of the Roger Grandi Social Justice Award this year. I don't want people to think that she's just someone who is a senior who still has not graduated high school. She has, and it's fitting that she's coming after these teachers because she was the Dean of Students for Tufts University for 20 years. Bobby, thank you so much for being on this program, and congratulations again for being the 2020 Roger Grandi Social Justice Award recipient. Bobby, any words on the Brookline Youth Awards and our young people?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the award. But more than that, even, I appreciate the opportunity to have been a part of the process by which the awards are given. And it's given me an opportunity to see the extraordinary contributions that our students have made to one another, to the communities, and to students who will come after them.
Thanks so much, Bobby. And we want to talk to some of the students here. Also want to, Bobby raised something that's really important, and that's the nomination committee. If you go to Brookline Hub and you see that other toggle, there's sort of accordion style setup so that we can list all of the important people that make this happen. There are 42 people on that nomination committee, and all of them read well, maybe 38 of the 42 read a 67 pages of nominations, and that's Arial font, 11-point font, 67 pages of nominations, and also watched all of the interviews so that they could decide on tonight's Youth of the Year and Youth of the Year finalists. And so because of that, we have this cross-section of our community invested in our young people. And so that these decisions aren't made by just myself and the people putting the show on. They're made by people in our community. And so this is a real community experience. I'm going to drive the Ann Thies from Brookline Interactive Group, who is a co-host and the engineer of this program, crazy, because we got a lot of people, well, if you'll unmute yourselves, but if you received the Brookline Youth Award this year and you're a student, and I can see you all there, I'd love for you to unmute your mics right now and tell us a little about what your feelings are. Not only to be part of this sort of 10-year event, but also what it's like to, I didn't see the graduation. I wished I had to do a family thing, but I know it must have been sort of happy and sort of sad to have things go the way they did with, you know, graduating in a virtual way and maybe not knowing if you're going to be going to school from home or being in a classroom in the fall. Someone want to unmute their mic, one of your students, and say hello to us? If you don't, I'll call on you like a teacher. There, Oliver, I was like, the betting line was that Oliver Bentley would be first, and Oliver.
Thank you so much for putting on this event. I feel really honored to be a part of it. And this feels like a really interesting award in my mind, because out of all the awards in the world, this one feels the most like community oriented one that I know of. It's not about like, oh man, like I won something. Yeah, like put that on my college applications. It's kind of like, you know, I feel so happy that I'm a part of this wonderful group of people that, you know, so many of them are on this Zoom call that like all care so much like about Brookline as our community, Massachusetts, whatever your community is. Like, sorry about the phone ring in the background. You can hear that. You know, I just feel really happy to be, you know, to have been picked to be here with all of you guys, because a lot of you I've come in contact with that have gone through the high school or elementary school, and I just have all of you in my mind as like really nice people that I'm really happy to have gotten to know. And I just wish all the best for everyone as they go forward, whether that's college or working, or maybe you've already graduated high school. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Oliver. Anyone else have some? Henry Brill is raising his hand. I want to hear from Henry. Do we need to unmute? Is Henry unmuted?
Yes.
Hey, Henry, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I remember your mother wrote to me after last year's Youth Awards, and you said from your experience sitting in the Coolidge Corner Theater that you wanted to be, you were inspired to be a voice for other young people that have Down syndrome. And this year, you're one of the 14 students that we're honoring with a youth award out of all of the students from between 13 and 19. So congratulations, and love to hear your thoughts on your experiences.
Yeah, I agree with Oliver. It feels so much different, and it's so much community oriented in a way that this award is everyone coming together. And our 84 nominee, congrats. I feel proud. And to me, it means a lot. And I'm honored because I have Down syndrome, and this is a whole new world for me that I know I can despite being different. And I'm proud of that. So thank you again for this day.
Henry, we're so I'm so honored to get to know you, and you're one of the first people I want to meet when we get to shake each other's hands and finally get to be in the same room with these students that I've only been staring at my computer looking at, and also, you know, I can't wait for the day when 10 years from now or something, when you come back and give our keynote address. That's going to be a pretty special moment. Thank you so much, Henry. And any other student want to pipe in here? That's this year's Youth Award winners. I see Gigi, I see Sidoni, I see Catherine. One of you, hit the unmute and jump right in.
I'll jump in. I just want to echo what Oliver said. I think in Brookline, there's such an emphasis on building a resume or college activity list that it seems very easy to be detached from the community, and I definitely have felt that way. And so being honored with this award is just really important to me, just because it really validates the fact that I am in a community, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So I know Sidoni, I'm looking right at you. And why don't you say something, and then Kyle, then Gigi, because I'm looking at the three of you on my thing here.
Thanks, Harvey. I suppose I think that it's pretty cool that we have the technology available, that even though in other times events like these and graduations would be completely impossible, but we still found ways to come together despite the challenges. And the fact that we all get to be here together tonight is pretty awesome. Thanks.
That's awesome. Kyle?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what everyone has been saying. In addition to about the whole community feel, I'm also very grateful for everything that's been happening. It's obviously very challenging to put on an event like this that's normally held in person at the Coolidge Theater, but you've done a really good job hosting this event, and everyone else who's been part of your team has done a good job making this possible. So I'm definitely very grateful for that, as well as for everyone who helped out with the virtual graduation for my class. It really made it was definitely very special in its own way. And just to see the community come together like this in these particularly challenging times is very inspiring, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thanks so much, Kyle. I just want to mention that I've been dealing with this autoimmune condition that sort of hit me out of nowhere last fall, and when I interviewed Kyle, I was getting an infusion, and Kyle took the time to let me know that he thought it was pretty cool that I was doing what I was doing while getting in the fusion, and he wanted me to feel good about myself. And that's sort of, when people are getting an award and they're thinking about other people and their contributions, it's just been a very consistent pattern of dealing of working with our young people, and that's why I go through all of this. Every year I wonder why the heck I do this, but then when I get to meet the young people, I get so much more out of it than I put in. Gigi, do you have some words for us?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I am very honored and grateful to be here. A moment that has really stuck with me from this time so far was after we graduated and walked in front of the school, walking or driving in our cars, we got to move through kind of a pathway of teachers and staff from all of our years at BHS, cheering us on. And once we exited that, and that was kind of marked the end of our graduation ceremony, I just remember the first thing that came to me was just how much these people, these teachers, and this place has shaped me. And the first thing I said to my mom after we got out was just, I just want to see my teachers again, because even though they've always meant so much to me, and especially during quarantine, I've missed them and realized that special place that teachers and other faculty have in my life. It was really that moment where it hit me how strong that place was. So I just want to say thank you to everyone at BHS, all the teachers, adults in Brookline who are helping me and helping all of us in our time in Brookline and beyond. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Gigi. And I want to hear from two more students, Saya Ameli Hajebi, and who I know is on, and also Grace Sokolo, who I know is on as well. I see you, Saya, so you can't hide.
So I really foiled my plans there. Gosh. I think we all imagined graduation to be different. We wanted it to be memorable, but it ended up being like a historic thing. So not exactly, I guess, what we were looking forward to, but I think that even though it wasn't everything we'd wished it would be, it was better in the way that we kind of saw just how much the people around us care, that they would go to extreme lengths to make our graduation happen in the midst of a pandemic, and pull it off so well. Like walking down the aisle and getting your diploma, it was only a couple minutes for every single one of us, but the amount of effort and organizing and planning that went into it really just goes to show how much the administration and our teachers really care about us. And yeah, I think even in those few short minutes, I was able to feel that deep care. And yeah, I mean, we're done with high school. We're ready to move on. It's really exciting. It feels like we're starting on a journey to the rest of our lives, and I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Thanks so much, Saya. And Grace, I think you're the last student. I just want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to jump in.
Sure, yeah. I would just have to totally agree with Gigi and with Saya on the subject of graduation. You know, not having the senior year that everyone, or at least I was like planning on having, it was a little challenging. For the past few months, life has been kind of like a roller coaster, which is exciting if you like that sort of thing. And I remember when they said the news about graduation, I was kind of upset. And after I did it, I was just like, I am so freaking lucky to live in a town like Brookline, where they put all of this effort into really making each of us feel special and feel like we're a part of a community, and we're not alone right now. And I think that just sums up what Brookline is about. And so I'm really grateful to be a part of this town, and I'm grateful to be a part of this award ceremony. Thank you so much for setting it up.
Thanks so much, Grace. And I have a quick question for Ann Thies. Ann, just say hello and tell me, do we have a hard out at 8 o'clock?
No, we can go over a little bit. That's fine.
Okay. Because I wanted to, we're on sort of our last block of before we go to announce the Youth of the Year finalists and the Youth of the Year. And I actually am getting a little emotional just even thinking about this. But so we have 5 of our past Youth of the Year. Leslie Surreal Guerrero, who was our first Youth of the Year, and Van Hoff, who was our 3rd Youth of the Year. Our second Youth of the Year, Catherine Maris, is like in London. She was going to do it, and then something just came up. So she's probably, she's running the world somewhere, wherever she is. And all of these students have been amazing. And so one of the perks that comes with being a Youth of the Year is you get to read those 67 pages of nominations every year. And you get to be part of the hard decisions and who is the next Brookline Youth of the Year. And so I've gotten to know these people, and for Ben and Leslie, I've gotten to know them for 10 years now. And I know that I'll know them 10 years from now. So, and Sabrina and Richard and Caroline Cutlip, and I want to, bring you guys on. I'll just, Caroline, I know you're there. I haven't talked to you in a while. You were one of the most memorable of our Youth of the Year because you had, it was a while ago, but if I remember correctly, you were in the Brookline Literacy Partnership, and then you discovered that there was a middle school in Boston. Is it the Templeton School, the Timothy, something like that? And
yeah.
And they didn't have a library, so you went on a personal quest to build this library at the school. And because of your efforts, a middle school in Boston had a library that didn't have one before. And I remember in the interview asking you what it felt like to be in that moment and to have accomplished so much. And I was surprised when you cried a little, and surprised, but I understood when you gave me the answer that you felt good that you had done it, but it was hard to know that students like you were in a situation where they didn't have books and they didn't have a library, so I knew you would go on to great things. We all did, but tell me a little about what it feels like to be in this sort of retrospective 10-year show.
Well, thanks everyone for being here. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks, Harvey. I'm a 2020 college grad, so I feel for all the people who are 2020 high school grads. Ours was a YouTube video. So we didn't even get the car brigade or whatever Brookline had. So I definitely feel for that. Yeah, the tears are a pattern. It's happening again, listening to what everyone else has been saying. Really excited to be here and always great to read through all the nominations. There's so many amazing students. So I'm just really grateful to be here. Again, the pattern of seeing what people are going through and the disparity, honestly, between what I experienced in Brookline and what other people are experiencing continues. I'm doing mutual aid work in Manhattan, and it's been really intense to see what people are going through right now with the pandemic. At protests, it's crazy to see. So I hope that everyone who's here, who's a recent graduate, will be going on to fight a lot of these systems and continue to fight for justice, because there are so many amazing people on this call. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And Sabrina Joe, one of my favorite people in the world. If you could unmute yourself, Sabrina is a freshman at Claremont McKenna. First half of the year, I guess she went to school there, and the second half had to go to school remotely, like a lot of college students. And Sabrina Joe is, she told a story about pretty much being a parent to her younger brothers, or helping to be a parent to her two younger brothers, and wanting to break her family cycle of poverty so that she could lead the way for the rest of her family. And she's in the middle of doing that. And she inspires me, and you know, I learned so much from Sabrina's strength. And Sabrina, you're here somewhere. Where are you?
I'm here.
Come say hello.
Everyone.
Sabrina, what's tonight feel like for you? There's a new Brookline Youth of the Year that's going to join your family in a second here.
Yeah, so I'm kind of 2 years in, right after having won my award. And every year it's just so like inspiring and special to read through all the nominations. And since 2018, since 2018, it's like now I see people as like youth award videos, you know, like they could be interviewed by Harvey, and I could just learn a little bit about them and just like learn about each individual. So it's been really cool to watch all of these videos every year and just learn about people in my own community doing these amazing things. So I'm really excited. And this is really special that it's the 10th year. So congrats, Harvey.
Thank you. I feel like with the Sabrina and Richard and Ben and Leslie, they were all part of this show this year. They helped put this show on. And when you watch a Brookline Youth Awards, you'll see Sabrina in a lot of host spots. The other person who was our main host for this year, our 2019 Brookline Youth of the Year, Richard Desir. Richard is here. Richard held his own and was like the best host that we could ever have. He was, we were like, can he hold the whole show? And then it was going to be harder in the COVID world, doing it all online. And he just like carried the day. Richard, you're like the best host. I know that you're on to do you have a lot of goals in life, but if being like the anchor, network anchor or cable anchor news, if you want to take over for Brian Williams or something, you could probably do that too. Richard, you're here. Any thoughts? You're at the end of your first year of being Brookline Youth Award recipient.
Yeah, it's just been fantastic to be, I guess, inducted into this family of people who come together each year and really take a look at who's making an impact in the community and all come together to say, all these people have done wonderful things, and in different communities, they don't necessarily get honored and they aren't seen for their accomplishments. They're just seen for their grades or the specific sport that they do. But there's so much more to every single story each and every year. And it's just been amazing to be a part of that this year as my first time. And I guess coming to the end of my first year as a college student, one word of advice to each of the Youth Award recipients this year is just really keep your head up, because you all are going through this right now, and I don't think anybody could have ever predicted anything like this. And the fact that we're all here getting through it all together means that you can seriously do anything you put your mind to.
Thanks
Harvey.
so much, Richard. Richard, I think we just might have to have you be the host again next year. But you're a natural, and I remember you giving me strength last year when you were doing so many things, and I love the way you sort of like talked about your track, participating in track and the mental aspects of that and everything, and you saying that one of your goals is to be able to walk into a room and for people to recognize you for just what you bring to the table, and not some preconceived notion that they may have of you based on anything other than that. And so in this year, especially, those words, I've thought about those words over and over again, watching these protests and thinking, boy, I wish they could have Richard there to speak to the crowd for a little bit. Anyway, I want to go, we have just two more. Van Hoff is my friend, Ben Hoff, and I mean friend. And Ben, I remember I remember the discussion when we were discussing who was going to be the 2013 Brookline Youth of the Year. It was just our third one. And almost everyone at the table wanted to recuse themselves because they said, I can't discuss Ben because I know him so well. And then I remember all of us realizing, well, we don't know him because we're his neighbor or something like that, or that we're related to him. We know him because he's so active in our community. And that's how we know him. We know him because of his accomplishments. And the other thing about Ben that I remember is I remember interviewing you for Youth of the Year when you would, it wasn't for Youth of the Year, but interviewing you in 2013. Ben Hoff is also the first student who was ever nominated in 2011. Ben talked about how he went to the Mather School, and or it might have been the school that was before the Mather School, that the Brookline Literacy Partnership was, helping, and he was a volunteer for the Brookline Literacy Partnership. You remember going to a school and seeing what an inner city Boston or Dorchester school looked like, and feeling embarrassed that this school was 3 miles from his house, and he didn't realize that the conditions would be so different, and he felt ashamed of himself for not knowing that. And so Ben is basically spends his life trying to make things right for people and for his world. And Ben, come on board, unmute yourself. Mutual Admiration Society. You're the man. Ben Hoff, our Say something, my friend.
Harvey, I've got to cut you off. Thank you. Your friendship to me means so much. You've been a huge role model to me. I'm so glad that I got that random email from you one day talking about the Youth Awards. I remember I called you Mr. Bravman. And since then, this is sort of a message to all of the new winners of this award this year. Harvey has the biggest heart. He has the most steadfast dedication towards justice, towards getting people heard who are not heard, towards recognizing the humble but amazing qualities in people of all sorts. And if you're here and if you're recognized, you mean a lot to Harvey. He has the biggest heart and the biggest will to use his heart shamelessly and go out there and do things that matter with his heart. And Harvey, thank you for bringing us all together. This is a gift. It's a gift in a really hard time where a lot of us need gifts. And there's nobody who I would be more affected. I had to choke down some tears there when you were talking, because those words out of anyone's mouth wouldn't have meant nearly as much as they do out of yours. So thank you. And I think that it was Richard who just said that these awards are like a family. The causes that we all believe in are interconnected, and it's such a wonderful thing to have somebody to pull them together. And I encourage everybody on this call to reach out to other people on this call. Brookline is a phenomenal community for a reason. And we're so lucky to live in this town and to have people like Harvey who don't even live in this town. I know that you're not geographically located anymore, but who believe in it and who are a part of it because of how they think and what they do. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Ben. And so we have one last person before we start announcing the Youth of the Year. I do want to mention that to be in this family, you don't have to be a Youth of the Year. All of you, everyone that's on this call is part of this. I get emotional, but every one of these students, I do want to mention that the biggest misnomer about the Youth Awards is that students are recognized because of their challenges. And we've recognized over 600 students, and not one of them has been recognized for their challenges. They're all recognized for their achievements. And part of achieving is overcoming challenges. And so just want to make sure that that's something that you can, all of you, if someone else says anything about it, just say, he doesn't recognize anyone for their challenges. Anyway, Leslie Surreal Guerrero, we met when you had only been speaking English for a few years. And you told me about your journey from the Dominican Republic and how that your parents made sacrifices so that you could be sitting where you were. And you told me about the love of your parents and the love of your brother and your sister. And your brother, you were our first Brookline Youth of the Year. And in 2012, Mariano Guerrero won a youth award and is forever in our youth award family. And your sister Caramel also received the youth award in 2016. I remember, not to get political, but when there was some dialogue going around our country, demonizing immigrants, I realized that we had parents in our midst who were immigrants that no one connected to the Youth Awards could possibly, outdo. And if we were going to have a Parents of the Year, it would definitely be these people, because they had 3 students who were rock stars. The Surreal Guerreros left good jobs in the Dominican Republic and came to the United States and sacrificed everything so that their 3 children could have a better life. And each one of their children are rock stars. And Leslie Surreal Guerrero is our first Brookline Youth of the Year. Leslie Surreal Guerrero is the first Steps to Success student to go to law school. And now Leslie Surreal Guerrero is the first Brookline Steps to Success student to pass the Massachusetts bar. So she's an attorney now. So Leslie Surreal Guerrero, before we announce this year's Youth of the Year, unmute your mic.
Come forward, as they say. Harvey, you made me cry, and everyone that has spoken today. I'm an emotional wreck. One of my favorite things about this award is the amount of love and dedication and commitment and trust that it takes to put something like this together year after year. I second what Ben had to say about Harvey. I've known this man for 10 years now, and I know that I will know you for the rest of my life. My family and I are so thankful. I'm so sorry. My family and I are so thankful to you for always being there for us, for holding our hand, for the advice, for being a friend, for thinking of us, and for everything you've done. I truly apologize. And when we got the news about my parents getting the Surreal Guerrero Parent of the Year award and then being named after them, it was one of the most happy moments of our lives. Because as Dominican immigrants in Brookline, it meant more than you can ever imagine. Because sometimes you feel like you're not being seen, and what you're working hard for it's to accomplish is not being credited. And they mean so much, and they work so hard, and they deserve every bit of that. And just to know the parents that have come after them to receive their award stand for such an amazing parenthood, for such amazing confidence in their children, for holding their kids' hands, for always being there for them, means the world to us. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to be part of this amazing community, amazing family. Year after year, reading those nominations make me feel so proud that our word is filled with young people like you all who want to change the world, who see that not everything is perfect and that things need to change. And you're doing something about it at such a young age. And that is so amazing to do because you're not only students worrying about graduating, but you're also thinking of others. And you've been taught that by your parents or whoever is raising you, and you should all be proud of yourselves for what you have done, for what you will accomplish in the future. And I wish you all truly the best. And now you're part of this family, so you're stuck forever with all of us. And lastly, thank you, Harvey, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Karen. I love you both so much and everyone involved. I special shout out to Ben, Richard, and Sabrina, who we've done a lot of work for this year's Youth Awards. And thank you, everyone. Good luck.
Thank you, Leslie. If you watch the Brookline Youth Awards this year, I'm fighting back the tears too right now, but if you watch the Brookline Youth Awards and just go to Brookline Hub, and they're right there. It's about 2 of the best hours you could ever spend. You'll see all of our, Leslie and Ben and Richard and Sabrina are, our hosts on there, and also Catherine Leslie as well. And I just want to let you know that the Youth of the Year, it's we understand the subject, that this is all subjective. We're reading nominations, we're talking to teachers and counselors, but we, every student that's part of their 84 students are doing incredible things, especially the 14 we interviewed. So in this 6 finalists that when we introduce them, just we understand that we're trying to judge rock stars against rock stars. And the first year, the reason that there is a Youth of the Year is because the first year I was worried that after each interview, the contingent for each family would run out the door and leave. And so we had a Youth of the Year to keep everyone in the theater. And I never could imagine that it would end up being what it is now. And these people that are, so anyway, want to show on the screen, Anne, if it's possible. If you see a 2019, it's because we put these slides together at the last minute, and some of these might have the wrong dates on them. But if you want, I could just say what they are, if that works better, Anne. These are the past Brookline Youth of the Year. Everyone can see it on their screen. From Leslie Surreal Guerrero all the way to Richard DeSerre. And every one of these students is a special human being, as well as the other students that they represented that year, who were not Youth of the Year, but who are also just as special. Our 6 finalists that we chose this year are on your screen right now. Anjali Matthew, Erica Sanchez, Naomi Bria Rivera, Catherine O'Connor, Saya Ameli Hajebi, and Sidoni Brown. And this was the most ridiculous. Really, there should have been 14 finalists. It took us all night to do the finalists because, it was crazy. But so not to take away anything from those of you who are finalists, it's just, you're in rarefied air, all of you are. The 2020 Brookline Youth of the Year is Saya Ameli Hajebi, who I know looks surprised. If you can unmute yourself, and just want to put Saya, unmute yourself.
Gosh, wow.
So,
wow. Thank you. I feel like it's weird to be the one who's getting the award when I feel like the platform that I'm standing on has been built by all the people that have been supporting me. And it feels like we should all be getting the award together. I remember like senior year for me was really tough, especially first semester. And I remember like one night I was up really late trying to write my speech for the September 20th climate strike. And for some reason, I got it into my head that I should make popcorn at 3 a.m. along with my coffee. And I go over to the microwave, I like pop in the popcorn, and I put it in for way too long. It starts smoking, like the microwave almost catches on fire. And my mom woke up and she's like, "What are you doing? You should be going to sleep right now." And I was freaking out. I was like, I'm not ready for like, I was trying to do my homework. I was trying to finish up the speech for the strike. I was really stressed. And she just kind of sat me down and calmed me, and I was able to get back to work and finish up that speech. And the climate strike went really well. And I think I don't know, it just, I really want to use this space to thank her and everyone who's kind of stood by me throughout this time. Like, if it wasn't for those 3 a.m. burnt popcorn days and you know, those hugs when I really needed them, I wouldn't be where I am now. Yeah, really grateful.
Thank you. You're the best. There's some silent clapping going on. Thank you to everyone on tonight's show and our past youths of the year and all of you students who got youth awards this year and all of you students. There are 70 students that got recognition awards. And if you come home and you can see Netflix and you could see Prime, you know, channels, and you could see, you know, we all have like 1 million cable channels, and if you're in front of the set or you're in front of your computer and you want to know what to do, go to Brookline Hub and listen to our young people and listen to them for 2 hours. And I don't care if you're watching it on your phone or a 65-inch TV like I have, or your computer, you're going to be glad that you did. And some of the people that only spoke for a couple of seconds tonight on this show were interviewed, and they're there, and they did it by Zoom, and it was harder for them this year, but they had the courage to do it. And one thing that I remember about Saya was I asked her to do an update. So we have last year's Saya interview, and then we have the update interview, where she just basically updates us on what happened in the last year. And she talked for 19 straight minutes about what she was doing. And so we had to find like 2 minutes in there. And also want to really mention, just before we sign up, Gigi Walsh and Grace Sokolow, when the Brookline students, like when everyone had to go hide in their home and just go out with masks on, the 2 of them teamed up and started selling T-shirts that benefit the the BCF Safety Net Fund, and you know, that's something that I just wanted to mention, because that's what they're just the spirit of our community. Thank you all for coming tonight. We try to build this whole thing on a cloud of love, I guess, and just love for each other and love for our young people. And just a final word that watch Brookline Strong on Sunday. Also keep in mind that we have people in our community that have to be strong every single day. And so think about them and think about, it's so easy to think about what you don't have in all of this. If we all could just spend a few minutes making sure that our neighbors have what they need. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Brookline Interactive Group. You guys are the best. Over and out.
Congratulations, Saya.